My voice is clear for you now. Can you please confirm once? Good evening. Fine. So we can start now. First of all, I'll install Minikube for you. So then later we can go and we can discuss the concept. So seems it is weekend, like everybody seems off. Even from online also, I'm getting 30 students today. Minikube.sh. And have you gone for the workshop today? How many of you went to the workshop? One, two. You also, no? Okay, three. And from online, how many of you attended the workshop of Docker and Kubernetes and Terraform too? Great. You understand? Okay. Docker and Kubernetes here are already covered, so it'll be very easy for you to understand that. But Terraform, you don't know what is Terraform as of now, right? So, but in upcoming days, I'll teach you. Like Terraform will be amazing tool, and personally, my favorite Terraform. I love it a lot. Okay. So in today's session, I'm gonna teach you the concept called resource quotas. What is the concept? I think you know quotas. What is quota? Uh, I think from the village background, people might know about quota. Quota means what you deserve, what you allocated for. Okay. Same thing is going to be done for the Kubernetes also. Let me, sorry. Okay. See, basically, if you go to village background, like in village background, what happen is for every month, they will give some quotas. That means they will give some rice, sugar, wheat, oil, and some other groceries. Okay. And even if you watch cricket also, for each bowler, if it is ODI, he is going to get 10 hours quota. If it is T20, he is going to get 4 hours of quota. The meaning, like this is the common word where you are going to see in the cricket as well as like in your real world also. Quota means how much of things that has been allocated for you. For example, see, in Kubernetes, how we are going to work with the quotas means it's my cluster, for example. So in my cluster, you know, namespace, right? What is the purpose of using namespace in the cluster? Use it for isolation. What is the main purpose? Isolation. Sir, I'll be having different teams. I'll be having the developer team, which work on the dev namespace. And parallel, I'll be having the other teams called testing team. I'll be having the UAT team. And finally, I'll be having the prod team. How many teams I'm having here? 4. So developing team as well as testing team, like that is called as a QA here. And similarly, I'll be having UAT. And finally, I'll be having the prod. So I'll be having the different namespaces here. So whenever you have the different namespace, all of these namespace, we are going to use the pods. Okay. See, for example, my cluster, together my cluster, I'm having 6 CPUs. How many CPUs? Basically, we have 4. Why? Because one master node, 2 worker nodes. Master node, we are having T2 medium. And worker nodes, we are having T2 micro. For T2 medium, how many CPUs will be having? T2 medium, 2 CPUs. Okay. So for our cluster, number of CPUs we are going to get is 4 CPUs, and number of RAM we are going to get is 6 GB of RAM. How much? Why? Because T2 medium will come with 2 CPUs and 4 GB of RAM. T2 micro will come with 1 CPU and 1 GB of RAM. See, whatever the CPU and RAM we are going to get for our cluster, this CPU and RAM I'm going to distribute for my cluster. See, developers work on their dev namespace. Do they need to have CPU and RAM for the pods or not, sir? Without having CPU and RAM, how will the pod work? It won't work. And in QA also, testers are going to create some pod for the testing purpose. But without giving the proper CPU and RAM for the testing pods, how the testing pods will work? No. So as a cluster administrator, whenever if you create the cluster, creation is nothing but provisioning. When you provision the cluster, you are going to allocate some sort of CPU and some sort of RAM for each and every namespace. That is our responsibility. So in Kubernetes, if you want to allocate the CPU and RAM, that means hardware for each and every namespace, we are going to use something called as quotas. What do we use? Quotas. Who is going to create the quota? Cluster admin will create the quota. Who will create, sir? So today's concept is nothing but your resource quotas. What is the name of the concept? So let me go and explain about this one. Again, whatever I explained, same point will come there. So nothing to learn here new in the document, but I'll just read this one for you. See, quotas. Kubernetes cluster can be divided into namespace. By default, a pod in Kubernetes will run without limitation. I think you already know. By default, containers and pods will not have any kind of limitations. So for example, see, if you don't put limitation for pod, it is going to use my complete CPU and complete RAM or not, sir? Now, what is the work of remaining pods? They don't have CPU and memory to use. Now, what they will do? They will die or not, sir? Like that. For example, let's take a small scenario. You are 4 people in your home. Your father being 4 biryani packets. How many biryani packets? 1 for him, 1 for mom, 1 for me, and 1 for my sibling. I am very hungry. If I am very hungry, if I eat all the 4 biryani packets, what will happen? Remaining people will starve or not, sir? They'll feel hunger or not. So that is the reason we need to distribute the 4 biryani packets to 4 different person. Here also, the entire cluster will have a lot of CPU and lot of memory. So individual pod cannot use all this CPU and all this memory. That is the reason as a cluster admin, we are going to provide this much of CPU and this much of memory for each and every namespace. Yeah, restriction. So we need to give the limit for the pod. It can limit the objects that can be created within the namespace and total number of resources. When we create a pod, scheduler will limit the node to deploy the pod. Already you know, scheduler work is to select the worker node. For example, see, I'll tell this way. I have a cluster, it's my master node, and this will be my worker nodes. Whenever if I want to create a pod creation will be done with the master node only, but scheduler will check the nodes, which node is having good CPU and good RAM. If node 1 is having good CPU, pod will be placing on node 1. No, if node 2 is having the better CPU and better memory, pod is going to place on the node number 2. Here we can set the limits of CPU, memory, and storage for a namespace. Okay. Here CPU is measured on the code. I think all of you know CPU we are going to measure on the core and memory is going to measure on the bytes. One CPU is equal to how many milli CPUs? 1000 milli CPUs. Half CPU is equal to 500 milli CPUs, or you can call it as 0.5. That means if I want to give one CPU, I can mention 1. No, sir, if I want to give 10% of my CPU, I can give 0.1. No, sir, if I want to give 20% of CPU, I can give 0.2. No, sir, if I want to give 50% of my CPU, I can give 0.5. Here we have two things, request and limit. Request means how much we want. What is the meaning of request? How much you want. Like limit means what is the maximum we can give. So in order to make it very simple, I'll explain the simple example for you. You want to go to picnic. To go to picnic, you want 100 rupees. How many rupees? Let me draw a diagram and explain you. So you want 100 rupees to go to the picnic. How many rupees, sir? 100 rupees. You go to your mom and you are asking, like your mom is having 1000 rupees. Okay. You want how many rupees? And your mom is having how many rupees? Here limit is 1000 rupees. Limit is the maximum we are having. What is the limit here? Maximum. So your limit is 1000. You can request 100 rupees or not, sir? You can request 100, 200, 500, 700, 800, 1000 rupees also request. But I want to request 10,000. Is it possible? No. This is the major point you need to understand. Limit means what is the maximum value we have. Okay. Request means how much you need. That means you can call it as limit means maximum, request means need. So is the concept of limit and request clear for all of you know? Online, can you please confirm, is the concept clear for all of you till now? Can you please confirm in chat box once? We can do it. I'll tell you how to do it. Okay. It's clear for all of you. That's fine. Sir, limit can be given to pods and nodes. See, basically we can apply the limit for pod and node also. Okay. The default limit always is going to be 0. Remember, the default limit of any pod and any node will be 0 only. See, here we have 3 different conditions. Condition number 1 will be mentioning limit, mentioning request, or mentioning limit but not request, or not mentioning limit but mentioning the request. Here if you see, if you mention request and limit, everything will be fine. If you don't mention request, but if you mention request, then request will become limit. But if you mention the request, but if you don't mention the limit, it is gonna be issue. Let me explain like in order way. If you mention request and you mention limit, that means in the above example, you want 100 rupees. Your mom has 1000 rupees. Here you know what is the limit, what is the request. You know, is it a safer way or not, sir? First method. Second method is nothing but here you don't mention request and you mention the limit. That means you know how much of money your mom is having, but you are not requesting her. You don't tell I want 100 rupees, but you know your mom is having 100,000 rupees. Then you can take how much you want or not, sir? You can take all the 1000 rupees. For example, see, uh, you came to know that your mom is having 1000 rupees, but you want 100 rupees only. You said that all I want is 1000 rupees. That means you are not telling how much you want. You know the total limit. So directly you can go and you can take 1000 rupees. This way is also safe. But third way is the you don't know what is the limit, but you want to request. You don't know how much of money your mom has. You go and ask, I want 10,000 rupees. What is going to happen? Is it possible? Why? Because you know how much you want, but you know how much your mom can give for you? No. That is the scenarios here you need to understand. These scenarios I explained on the simple daily life. Again, I'm telling, basically we request, like we mention both request and limit. It is safer way. Even though if you don't mention your request, but if you mention your limit, so limit will become request. But unfortunately, if you don't know limit, you don't know limit, but if you try to mention your request, is it a safe way? No, I'll tell in the practical way for you. For example, if you go and see, here what I'm gonna do is, every pod in the CPU, sorry, every pod in the namespace must have CPU. Even though if you don't put memory limit, it is completely fine. CPU limits are gonna be mandatory. If you don't put memory limit, that's fine. But CPU limit will be mandatory. If you don't mention CPU limit, this pod can take the entire CPU of my cluster. The amount of CPU used by all the pods inside namespace must not exceed the specified limit. For example, see, I mention one CPU for one namespace. One CPU for, I have 2 pods. How many pods I'm having? two pods. For first pod, I have given 0.5 CPU, and for second pod also I'm having 0.5 CPU. So this 0.5 plus 0.5, what is the value? It is fine. But if I add one more pod, this is also going to have 0.5 now. Now what is the value? It is exceeding or not, sir? This is not going to happen. You cannot do like this. The amount of CPU used by all pods inside the namespace must not exceed the specified limit. That is the meaning of this diagram. So is the concept clear for all of you till now? If it is clear, and I'm going to show you in the practical way. So let's go and create the namespace called Raham. I think all of you know how to create the namespace. Very simple. Kubectl create NS. Now I create the namespace here. Kubectl get NS. You can get the Raham namespace. How to switch to the namespace? Kubectl config set context -- current namespace is equal to Raham. So this is the command to switch to the namespace. Now you are inside the namespace. How can you check? By using the command kubectl config view. Currently I'm on which namespace here? Raham. That was fine. Now here what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a file called quotas. What I'm going to create? Of course, here I create the Raham namespace, but you can put dev namespace also. Sorry, if I don't want Raham namespace, that is completely fine. Kubectl create ns dev. I am creating the dev namespace. Okay, I'll switch to dev namespace now. Why? Because there I have given Raham, but here I'm giving dev. Anything is fine. Now you can go and check. Currently we're on which namespace? Oh, sorry. Currently we're on which namespace here? Dev. Namespace is completely fine. You can give whatever you want. So let me go in the real-time way only. I'll replace Raham as dev. Okay. So now here, what exactly I'm going to do is I'm going to create a manifest file called dev_quota.yml. What is the manifest file I'm creating here? Dev_quota. So here the manifest file is very, very simple to understand. What you can do is you can copy and you can paste it here. Guys, I'm taking here Minikube. What I'm taking? Minikube will be having how many CPUs? 2 CPUs. And how much of RAM? 4 GB. Now, maximum CPUs I have is 2 and maximum RAM I have is 4. So API version is V1. I'm creating resource quotas. Name of the quota will be dev quota. And I'm giving this resource quota for which namespace? So in the specification, I'm mentioning hard. Hard means must apply. Coming to the limits, we have two limits. Hard limit, soft limit. Hard means must need to apply. Coming to the pods, in this namespace, maximum I can create only 5 pods. How many pods I can able to create? And coming to the CPU, how many number of CPUs can we create in this? Can we allocate for this namespace? That means this dev namespace can only use 1 CPU. Out of how many CPUs? 2 CPUs. And how much of memory this dev namespace can use now? Out of 4, I have given 1 here. Is it clear now? That means if you go to the diagram here, my Minikube is totally having 2 CPUs. Basically, this I said for chaos, but here I'm using Minikube now. So for my Minikube, total I have 2 CPUs and 4 GB of RAM itself. So now currently, for my namespace called dev, how many CPUs I allocated here? Out of 2 CPUs, how many CPUs I have given? 1 CPU. And how much of RAM I have given? And how many maximum number of pods can I create here? 5 pods. So after giving this resource, now still you have 1 CPU and 3 GB of RAM. This you can give to any of the namespace. So now here I'm going to tell you the execution plan now. So go to here and give the command kubectl create -f dev quota.yml. So if you give the command kubectl get quotas. Quota. So in this quota, what is the name of the quota? It created 8 seconds ago. How many pods? Like currently I'm having 0 pods, but what is the maximum pods? How many limits I'm having here? CPU limit is 1, but how much of CPU I'm consuming now? 0. And how much of RAM? 1. What I'll do, I'll use the command kubectl run pod1 -- image is equal to nginx. I'm running only one pod. What is telling now? Pod 1 is forbidden. Failure dev resource quota must specify the limits for pod 1. What it is telling, by default, if you create any pod, it is going to take the complete CPU and complete RAM. Correct or not, sir? Now, if I am trying to create a pod, it is not going to allow me to create the pod. Why? Because if you create a pod like this, it can use my entire CPU and entire RAM. So definitely you need to mention the limits. Okay, if you want to mention the limits, you can put -- CPUs and -- RAM. But what I'll do, instead of mentioning the limits from CLI, I'm gonna take one manifest file for deployment. I think all of you know deployment, right? In the first method, I am mentioning the limits, but not request. Okay, let's go and see how it will work. I'll explain this very, very clearly for all of you. Just go and try to create. VM deployment.yml. So guys, till here, this is the deployment code only. No need to explain this one. This all of you know. The last point is new for all of you. In the section of resources, limits, how many CPUs I'm putting here and how much of memory? 512. Go and check here how many replicas you are going to create now. Sir, here if you go and check, maximum number of CPUs for my quota is how many CPUs I can allocate? No, CPUs. And what is the maximum RAM? But I'm creating 3 pods now. How many pods I'm creating? If I create 3 pods, will my CPU enough for my pods? Why? Because here you can clearly see that for each pod, I want how many CPUs? 1 CPU. How many pods I'm gonna create? That means how much of CPUs I'm gonna get now? 3. But what is the limit here? Is it matching? No. Similarly, memory also, I'm having 512 MB for each pod. So 512 into 3. How much of RAM I want? 1.5 GB of RAM. But what is the limit? 1. Now if I try to give the command kubectl create -f deployment.yml. Okay, now see what will happen. Deployment got created. Okay, but if you go and give the command kubectl get PO, how many pods are there? Now 1. Sir, in the replicas, how many pods you are given? But how many are creating? So Kubernetes is very, very clever tool. So even though if you ask for 3 pods, it will give you only 1 pod. Why? Because it has only 1 CPU. So 1 CPU can be given for only 1 pod. It has only 1 GB of RAM. So it can be given to only 1 pod. So rest of the pods will not be created. Rest of the pods will not be. So is the concept of resource quotas clear for all of you know? Sir, in the same way, what I try to do is, I'll delete this one, kubectl delete -f deployment.yml. Okay. I'm deleting this now, but in the manifest file, what I try to do, instead of 1 CPU, can I give 0.3 now? If I give 0.3, 0.3 into 3 replicas, what is the value? 0.3 into 3, man. 0.9. It is less than 1 or not, sir? So CPU is fine. Coming to memory also, instead of 500 memory, 500 MB, I'm just giving 300 MB. So 300 into 3, what is the value? Less than 1 GB of RAM or not, sir? Now tell me, will I get 3 replicas or not? Let's go and check. Now you can give kubectl create -f deployment.yml. Now give the command kubectl get PO. How many pods you have now? And give the command kubectl get quotas. I mean like quota you need to give, not quotas. Here you can see how many pods you created, but you have the limit up to 5. Out of 1 CPU limit, you use 900 millicores of CPU. And out of 1 GB RAM, how much of RAM you are using now? So am I getting the exact values or not, sir? Like that. See, in this way, we can be able to restrict the number of CPUs and number of RAM also. Sir, for example, I'll ask you one more question. Give the command kubectl delete -f deployment.yml. So now what happened, So guys, listen here carefully. In the deployment.yml, instead of 0.3, can I put 0.1 now? And instead of 300, I am putting 100 MB. But in the place of replicas, instead of 3, I am going to put 7. First of all, tell me 0.7, sorry, 0.7 will be the total number of CPUs. And 700 of MB will be the total number of RAM. Will my CPU and RAM allocated or not, sir? But what is the number of replicas I given here? But what is the limit for my quota? Quota limit will be, now go and create the deployment.yml now. Hyphen F is missing, wait. Now give the command kubectl get PO. Out of 7 replicas, how many got created? Where are the rest of the 2 replicas? Because the limit is only 5. Even though if you give 7 or 10, it doesn't matter. It is not going to create. So is the concept of replicas clear for all of you, Online, can you please confirm, is the concept of replicas clear for all of you or not? I mean, like replicas, not resource quotas. Can you please confirm your online ones? Clear, fine. So it is the method number 1. Method number 1 is mentioning the limits but not the request. I already said you. If you mention the limits but not request, it will be fine. In the second method, I am mentioning both limits and request. What I'm mentioning here, limits and request. So if you want to mention both limits and request, this is the way how you can mention. Let me copy this one for you. Or instead of copying, what you can do is copy the request. Copy the what here? Request. But let me delete kubectl delete -f deployment.yml. So in the deployment.yml, here I have mentioned the limits, but this time I'm mentioning the request also. What is the limits here? Maximum limits 1, and here also 1 GI, not 1 MA GI. So in GI, G will be capital. So apart from limits, I'm going to mention requests. So how many CPUs you want for each pod? For each pod, I want 0.2 CPUs. How many CPUs? And let me change the replicas. I'll change the replicas to 4 this time. How much? Sir, if I give 0.2 for 4 replicas, what is the value now? 0.8. It is less than 0.1 or not, sir? Similarly, for memory also, for memory, maximum limit I have is 1 GB. How much? I want to give 250 MB. How much? 250 MB for each pod. Is it possible or not? Why? Because 254s 1000. Is it equivalent or not? Yes. So in the second method, I mentioned both limits and request. Now go and give the command kubectl create -f deployment.yml. Wait. Bad request creating deployment version v1 cannot be handled as deployment unable to. Wait. It got fine. Kubectl get PO. Dry run client. Okay. Dry run is equal to client. So now kubectl get PO. Wait. I think there is some syntax issue here. Wait. This is a small mistake. Here M I need to give. So if you go and check here M will be capital, but unfortunately I have given the small. Okay. So now kubectl create -f deployment.yml. Now you can get the command, kubectl get PO. How many replicas I created? 4. But how many are coming here? 1. Give the command kubectl will get quotas. Quota only. Here you can go and check out of 1 pod, how many pods you are using? And what is the limit here? What is the memory here? Are you seeing anything suspicious here? I'm asking you, are you seeing anything suspicious? 1 pod is taking the full memory and full RAM, right? Why it is taken full memory and full RAM? Why? Because here in this manifest file, you need to understand one thing. Let me delete this one. Kubectl delete -f deployment.yaml. I'll change only one small thing here. First of all, I'll put request. What I'll put here? Let me copy them. So what I have done is, first of all, I put it like I have given the request first and limit later. Now go ahead and check. Kubectl create -f deployment.yaml. Kubectl get PO. How many pods you are getting now? 1. And how many quotas you can see here? Kubectl get quota. Why the single pod is taking the entire CPU and entire RAM? What is the reason for it? Request is been request or limit? Limit. Okay. Then where is the issue? Go and give the command kubectl get events. I think all of you know this command, right? So in the kubectl get events 38 seconds ago, scaling replica set, scaling up to 4. That means initially it is showing 1, but now it is scaled to 5. Go and check here. Kubectl get PO. Still you are not getting. Kubectl get, first of all, get the replica set. Out of 4 replica set, currently it is only running with 1 replicas. Why? Give the command kubectl describe replicas, name of the replicas. Just go and describe this one. You can get that. See, error message. What you are having? What is the error message is? You can see here, exceeding quota in dev quota. Limits request of CPU is 1 and memory is 1. But how many CPUs are using now? 1 CPU and 1 GB of RAM. That means it is telling that you have maximum 1 CPU and 1 memory of RAM. But out of them, it is completely using. So, like, what is the reason? You can also check here, right? Limits will be 1 and 1. Request is 200 MB and memory is 250. So, in this above one, what is the mistake? I done that one already. In the first manifest file, I put first limit first, request later. But in the second one, I put request first and limit later. Here in this case, what is the mistake we are getting? Okay, it's completely fine. It doesn't matter, like 100 or 200 you can give. So kubectl delete -f deployment.yaml. I'm deleting this one. In the deployment.yaml, go ahead and check, is there anything we need to modify here? Or let me show you one thing. I'll go to the official documentation and I'll show you. Is there any mistake from that documentation to our code? Okay. Just type here resource quotas with CPU and memory limits. And I'll show you this ChatGPT example also. Go to the resource quotas in the official documentation page. So if you go and check here, you have the first year and limits. Correct only, right? We have put request and limits. But why we are not getting the output here? Here also we have CPU minimum and max. Or let me show you in ChatGPT here. In ChatGPT, I'll ask the question. Generate a manifest file for Kubernetes for deployment in Kubernetes with limits and requests for a pod. Just I'm taking the example of ChatGPT. Let's go and check. In ChatGPT also you are getting the same thing, right? But like why it is not working? You can say ChatGPT example. First you are having limits, then you are having requests. So here you can go and check. Here also we are having first limits and then we are having requests. Sorry. Double quotes is not mandatory. If double quotes is the issue, like here also you need to get the issue. Na? Okay, I'll come to your word only and I'll show you something here, very interesting one for you. Understand, like try to observe what I'm doing now. Kubectl create -f deployment.yml. Kubectl get PO. How many pods are running now? Why? We have given 3 replicas now. I mean like a 4. For 4 replicas also, you can go and get 0.2 into 4. That will be 8. See, replicas will be 3 only. That means 0.6 will be the request. Out of 1 CPU, I'm requesting 0.6. And out of 1 GB of RAM, I'm requesting how much? 300 RAM. Still, why it is not creating replicas for me? Kubectl get quota. In quota, it is telling that one pod is consuming all the CPU and one pod is consuming all the memory, like RAM. Why? No. What is the first example we have seen? First example we have said, so like we have said only mentioning the limits, but not request. But in the second one, I am mentioning the limits and request. Something is happening. Okay, I'll explain this later. Just make it away from as of now. Let me do one thing. Kubectl delete -f deployment.yml. What I'll be doing is in the deployment.yml, sir, in this case, I'm not mentioning the limits, but I'm trying to mention the request. Is it going to work for me? I don't know how much I have, but I'm requesting. Is it going to work for me? No. Kubectl create -f deployment.yml. Kubectl get PO. What is happening here? What happening here? Are you having the pod? No. Again, I tried to create kubectl create -f deployment.yml. So deployment is there, but if you go and check, is the pods running for you now? Already we discussed, if you don't have the limits, but if you try to request, it is not going to work for you. Is it working for you? Definitely you need to mention the limits. Without mentioning the limits, request will not work for you. So this is the concept of the resource quotas. Which concept it is? Sir, first method and third method is very clear for you. But what is happening for the second method? Why second method is not working properly? Any guesses? No. Okay. Let me tell you. kubectl delete -f deployment.yaml. I'll go to official documentation and I'll try to show something for you. This is the official documentation, what we referred lastly. Are you seeing the values here? Min and max. Are you seeing the values here? Let me come here. Let me scroll down. This is for the pods. So last time also this is not working properly, like in last previous batch. But the code was correct, whatever we are using. Wait. Method number one, mention the limits. It's worked fine. I think there might be a new update in the code level or like, wait. No, it's not with the image. The code is correct only, but it's not working as per our expectation. Let me change the replicas. Let me do one thing. I'll change the replicas from 3 to 2. Still is getting only one. kubectl describe quota dev quota. You can see like it is consuming the total CPU. Why it is consuming the total ports? I'll do one thing. I'll just remove the requests of CPU. I'm mentioning the, like I'm removing the complete CPUs here. Let me go with the memory actual. So 17 seconds ago, we got the scaling the replicas of movies to 2. Something is not working properly. One small mistake from the code level. It's not from the code level actually. I can say it very straightly. You got 2 replicas, but these are not running. kubectl or else name of the replicas it will be movies. Here it is telling that. Okay, wait. For pod memory is important, na? kubectl delete -f .yml. Report memory, I'm removing. Memory is not mandatory. CPU is mandatory. So I'll be giving CPU. Limit will be 1. And requests. CPU, I'm just giving 0.1. I'm asking. MI is for memory, right? It's no need to give here MI. Or let me do this on one way. Just give me a second. There is some other values we can pass for it. Memory. Okay. Import CPU or 0.5. Correct only. Kubecut will create -f deployment.yml. Array? Replica set is 2. Let me get the quota. If I'm mentioning both limits and request, it is not working properly. This is the memory. What I want to request CPU. Let me check official documentation. Why? Because see, sometimes whatever. Unfortunately, if something changes in the official documentation, the old code will not work. Let me go to official documentation first of all. Configuring a pod, configuring memory and CPU quotas for namespace. Okay. I'll go and check this one. This already we configured. Okay. For this is the latest one. Are you seeing M here? In the oldest version, we don't have to specify the millicores here. But now instead of specifying the directly 1 GB, it is asking to specify the millicores. This is the newest update. Let me tell you. I'll explain in this one. See, kubectl delete -f deployment.yml. Here, what I came to know is in the deployment.yml, if you are mentioning both limits and requests, so just give M stand for millicores. So I give 1000 M. Okay. That is the limit. And what is the request I want here? Instead of 0.1, I can put 100 millicores. Okay. So now you can add memory also. I'm adding memory. What is the maximum memory I have? 1 GI. I can use 1 GI. And what is the request I'm doing here? What is the request I'm giving? Like memory for 100 MI. Okay. That means instead of directly giving 1 GB, I am mentioning this on millicores format. Which format? Millicore CPUs. Now go and give kubectl create -f deployment.yml. Kubectl get PO. Still also one. There's something issue with this. I mentioned everything properly, but it's not creating as per my expectation. Guys, it is not issue from the code level. Code is very, very clear. Why? Because you can clearly see like in the official documentation also, we are having the same code, but something is not working. Let me do one thing. What is the quota we are having? Maximum limits for CPU. I'll try to update the quotas. Like if, for example, in future, if you want to update the quotas, you can go and give like this. I want 2 CPUs. So just put 2 here. Give the command kubectl apply -f dev quota.yml. Okay. So now kubectl get quota. How many number of CPUs you will be having now? 2. So this thing I have said for your upcoming days. Whenever if you give initially 1 GB, but if you want to update to 2 GB, in that case you can give kubectl apply command. Which command? Apply is going to apply for the existing configuration. I think all of you know this one. Let me go and check kubectl deployment.file. Still also you are having one pod. Like this is very crazy. Like pod creation is restricted or what? Try another. First of all, let me try to understand like what it is dealing with now. It is trying to scale up the replica set to 2. See, basically pods are creating, but it is not running. That's what the issue. The major problem is, see, if you can get the command kubectl get rs, how many number of pods I desire? But currently it is running only one. Second one is not running. Last day metric server is troubleshooted. That is the cluster issue. But this time, see, it got failed 7 times actually. Replication controller combined from similar events, error creating the pods is forbidden. Exceeded quota, requested and limit. See, it is the dumbest error I can say. It is saying that the request got exceeded. We are giving only 0.2, right? But how it is exceeding for 0.2? We have almost all 1 GB, but I am requesting 0.2. 0.2 into what? 2. That is what is the value? 0.4. But it is telling that it got exceeded. Think we need to find a solution for it. Here also you can see limits for the replicas will be like 1 CP will be the limit, but I'm requesting only 100 MB. Here it is mentioning correctly only, but pods are not taking it. Why? Wait a second. I'll try to Google it. Deployment manifest with limits and requests for a pod. I'll go to some other docs actually. Let's go and check. Variant CPU. How many number of replicas here do we have? Template kind specification. Here you can see similar to our one only. Limits memory and CPU and request. I'll do one thing. I'll take this one and let's try to check it. Let me check this one. Kubectl delete -f deployment.yml. So it is telling that how many number of replicas he is creating now? 3 replicas. For these 3 replicas, here what you can do is complete CPU we are having is 1 CPU. How many? 1 CPU. So out of 1 CPU, how much we are requesting? 100 MB. 100 MB per each pod means maximum 300 MB. So CPUs are safe. And what is the maximum memory here we are giving here? 200. So here 100 will not sufficient. I can go for 50 for each pod. 50 for each pod means 150. Let's go and check now. Kubectl create -f deployment.yml. Kubectl get PO. How many pods it is creating now? How many number of replicas here we mentioned? Mm, one pod is out of the box. Wait. Kubectl delete -f deployment.yml. I'll give 300 and here I'll be going and giving 100. Let me go and check. Kubectl, first of all, get quotas. I have two CPUs and I have 1 GB of RAM total. In the deployment file, you can go and see how many CPUs here I'm limiting? One. And how much of memory I'm limiting? 300. So both will be on my zone only. So these are complete values. So now go and try to create kubectl create -f deployment.yml. Kubectl get PO. I've seen the pods here. After taking different examples also, we are getting similar error. Like why these quotas are not working? See, still you are having, oh wait, this is also taking one complete CPU. See, the issue is with the only CPU, not from the memory point. Limit the CPU is taking the complete limit actually. It's not going for the request. It is taking limits only. That's what the mistake like it is happening now. In the event section, we can see it very clearly. Wait, let me go and try on this way. You want me to reboot? Let me search on Google in some other. Why my pod is taking limits of CPUs, not requests. Let me go and search here. In the Reddit, we have a blog. Suppose on a node, there are 4 CPUs and there are 4 pods from 4 deploying each of 1 CPU. Okay, now pods start from performing and test need to 2 CPUs. Okay. With horizontal scaling, new pod will be scheduled, else anywhere. It's not the answer what we want. Uh, Two answers. Increase the CPU size of quotas. I already increased Anil. Like still it is not working. And Nayan sir, is anything missing in syntax like double? No, no, its syntax is very fine. Whatever the manifest file we have given is file is correct. But we are not getting the expected output. Output is getting some different. This we need to find a solution. Hmm. Let me do one thing. I'll recreate the quota one more time. Kubectl delete -f deployment.yml. So I don't have any pods now. Kubectl delete -f dev quota.yml. First of all I delete the quota and I'll recreate. Kubectl create -f dev quota.yml and kubectl create -f deployment.yml. Kubectl get PO. Deployment.yml. Still it is not working. I'm getting only 2 replicas. I need to get a lot of replicas. Issue is with the CPU only. It's not from the port. Let me do one thing. I'll go for my presentation of Canva. Sometimes what happens, due to some small changes in the newer version of Kubernetes or due to some mistakes, we'll find to troubleshoot a lot actually. Here the issue is very clear, but even though we are correcting it, it's not working properly. Let me search. Anil, like whatever you said is it's gonna be wrong actually. Here CPU size is 2, that was correct. But I'm giving here maximum only. Let me tell you. Kubectl delete -f deployment.yml. Let me do on this way. So total number of CPUs I have for my server is 2. Okay, for this namespace. And coming to the RAM, like memory, how much of memory I'm having here? 1 GB only, right? So I'll put 1 GI. Let me go and let me do it now. Kubectl create -f deployment.yml. 3 replicas. No, it's getting 2. You are getting different outputs. Let's do one thing. I'll explain this concept on Monday. Why? Because this is taking a lot of time to troubleshoot. I'll explain this on Monday. This method number 2 is only pending. Method number 1 and method number 3 is done. So in today's session, which topic we have seen? It's about the uh, resource quotas. Which one? What is the purpose of resource quotas? To distribute the resources for our cluster for each and every namespace. And in real time, who's gonna do it? Cluster admin. So if you mention limits without request, it's fine. If I mention limits and request, that is also fine. But if I mention the request but not limit, it is going to give lot of errors for us. But unfortunately, after mentioning both also, we got some issues. But I'll check this issue and I'll let you know. Okay, what is the issue we got? Let me upload these notes for you first of all. And guys, from Monday, you will be having the class till 7:30. Okay. So I think this is the last day for demo. But from Monday, you'll be getting the normal time only. That's it. So now, if you are having any queries on today's session, you can ask me now. You can go ahead. I already given. Sorry, I have given on. In these notes, I haven't given on. Let me check. Yeah, I got you. I got you. Quotas. Here you have it now. So online, any queries from today's session, if you are having, you can ask me now. But here it is showing now. Wait. It is your class notes, right? No, no, it is your class only, 6 p.m. It is your notes. Just now uploaded, okay? Even though if it is not updated, you can see it from the like live section, right? Here you can go in HPA, above HPA. Are you able to see it? But here it is showing now, like I was wondered. Okay, fine. Even though if it is not showing there, you have this on the like Google Classroom, now you can take it from there. That's it, guys. So any queries from your end? Reboot. No, it's not going to work. Like reboot is not going to work here. I know definitely. So guys, any queries from today's session, like in the quotas, apart from this limits and request? Uh, there also you can give. You can try. You can give and try. Okay. And today, like we have done with the mocks. Like how many of you gone for mocks offline? Offline. How many of you gone for mocks? None of you. Huh? Why? You're taking break. Huh? No, same. Preparing. Okay. So guys, any queries still you are having? Okay, then fine. If you don't have any doubts or queries, we can leave for today and let's connect on Monday session. So from Monday, your class will be till 7:30. Okay. Only for this week, they have demos now. So I'm leaving a bit early, 10 minutes. Have a great day. Bye. Thank you.